Okay, my name is David Nybarger. The company is RTUI, Registered Tapes Unlimited, also known as Indoor Media. And the purpose for this short training video is to teach new virtual call center appointment setters how to properly qualify your appointments by getting all the owners there. You'll find out real quick in this business that you make a lot more money if you get all the owners there. Just to kind of give you an example, if this assumes that you're focusing on appointments, that we from our top 10 categories, where all of the that it's a business type that does well with coupons. It's one of our top categories, and that you're trying to get them as close to the grocery store as possible. So assuming that, we're going to just talk about getting all the owners there. If you get all the owners there, literally between half to a third of your appointments will close, 1 out of 2 to 1 out of 3. If you're missing one of the owners, that closing ratio drops between from 1 out of 2 to 1 out of 3 down to 1 out of 20 to 1 out of 30, somewhere in there. So that's a dramatic difference. How would you like to have half of your appointments closed or a third of your appointments closed, rather than 1 out of 20 or 1 out of 30? So let me tell you a quick story that kind of illustrates the power of qualifying appointments. When I first started to work for RTUI, it was in September of 2008, and I was hired to manage a physical call center for RTUI that we had in Spokane, Washington. And when I got there, my boss, he said to me that they'd kind of lost credibility with a lot of the salespeople in the company. They didn't want to use the call center or have appointment setters setting appointments. The better sales reps didn't want to, because they were getting a lot of one-legged appointments, meaning not all the owners were there. And so my first assignment was to improve the quality of the appointments. And so the call center had been in existence about 7 or 8 years before I got there. And the best that they'd ever done in sales volume was 2.2 million in a calendar year, and they had about 18 seats, normally about 16 or 17 people working at any given time. And the most that they'd ever gotten was 2.2 million in sales. So what I did is I started working with the people. I had a good group of people. A lot of them knew already what they were doing pretty well. I just started working on refining and helping them do a little bit better at qualifying the appointments. And with just focusing on that, my first full year, which was 2009, without any more people, just at the same call center, we did 3.2 million. So we did $1 million more, 50% more than they'd ever done before. And so towards the end of 2009, I started getting some of the better sales reps from the company that wouldn't use us before, started calling us and saying, "Hey, we're hearing that you guys are setting better appointments now. We'd like to know if you'd set appointments for us too." And so I was super excited, because if you set for better closers, you're going to get more sales. So I was all over that. And so we started setting appointments for these better salespeople, and that only lasted about a couple of weeks. And all of a sudden, there's about 5 or 6 salespeople of the better salespeople that we were setting for, and they all wanted to quit. And I said, "Why? What's going on?" And they said, "Well, we're still getting too many one-legged appointments. You guys are doing a little better than you were last time I used the call center, but it's still too many one-legged appointments." And so I said, "Okay, well, we've improved this much. Don't leave us. Help, let me pick your brain." And so I started picking their brain, and I started working even harder to teach the people how to set better. And we put some policies in place where things that we started doing on every call that started helping us get more owners at the appointments. And so we ended up keeping those top sales reps. Matter of fact, more of the top sales reps in the company started coming to the call center because our reputation was improving, and so pretty soon we were setting for much better sales reps than we were setting for before. And the next year, 2010, we did 5.2 million, which is more than double the best they'd ever done before with the same number of people. And I, maintained that all through 2010 and 2011, and then I took another job. Didn't have that job anymore after 2011. So think about that. You know, with the same number of people, we were able to double the sales volume, and the only things that we did different is we set better appointments and we set for better closers, better salespeople. And so that's why what I'm going to teach you here is so important. So now let's talk about. You guys have already seen the script training video. So let me pull up the script here and let's talk about this for a minute. As you notice, if you read through this script, if you haven't watched the script training video recently, go back and watch it. But you'll notice in here that I try really, really hard to get all the owners there. Once they agree to have the owners at the appointment, then I try to get them to either let me talk to their partners. I try to make sure that all of the partners are spoken to. And if they won't let me speak to their partner, then I try to get them to go tell their partner. Basically, what I'm trying to do is trying to get all of the owners to agree to the appointment before we set it. Instead of just talking to one partner and having him agree and say that he'll get his partner there, what really happens is he'll forget to tell his partner. Then our sales rep goes in, and the one knows about it, so he's there, but the other partner didn't ever hear about it, and so even if he's in the building, he's got something else going on. He can't sit in on the meeting. So basically what we did when I first got at the Spokane call center that made us go from 2.2 million to 3.2 million is we just started asking to try, and we just got better at getting the partner to agree to have his partner there. I was talking him into having his partner there. That was the change we did that took us up $1 million. What took us from 3.2 million to 5.2 million was this change where we started trying to get this. Not only once the business owner agreed to have his partner there, then we tried to. We asked them if they would let us talk to the partner, or if they didn't want to let us, then we would try to get them to talk to the partner. We just wanted to make sure that all of the partners knew about the appointment when we set it and agreed to be there. And just that one change made all the difference in the world. That's what took us to 5 million. And we started setting good enough appointments that we were calling for the best salespeople in the company. Not saying we were perfect, but we were, you don't get all the owners there every time, but you got to try your darndest to get all the owners there every time. And doing those changes, that was the results that we got. So let's just kind of go over this in a little bit more detail. So once the owner, we're going to talk about this, you build lots of value, you get them excited about it, you get them to agree to an appointment. Once you set the time of the appointment, first off, they might say, you say, would today at 2 or would 3 work better? Or tomorrow at 2 or 3, which would work better? They might say, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it till next week. Well, the way to handle that is you'll be surprised. 50-60% of them, even if they tell you that, will agree to meeting today or tomorrow if you do it right. And basically in the script training video, I did an example of that there, but I'll do it again here. Basically what you say to them is, oh gosh, I understand that you don't want to meet till next week, but my district manager, John, he's going to be there tomorrow and the next day. It's only a 15-minute meeting, and we'd really like to meet with you today or tomorrow. We're wrapping this store up soon. you sure you can't find? Is there any way possible we can find 15 minutes today or tomorrow to meet with you to show you this program? If you just ask them like that, um, you'll be surprised how many of them will say, "Oh, okay." I've even said, added to, he's going to be there, and I'm just basically calling ahead of time to keep him from walking in unannounced. We only need 15 minutes of your time. Are you sure you can't find? If you do that, you know, over half the time they'll usually say, "Okay, yeah, no problem." Okay, and they'll set a time with you. Okay, then when you get the time set, you want to find out if they have any partners. Now, a lot of people wimp out on this line. Even when I tell them about it, and I'll role play them with them for the first time, they'll wimp out on this part. And if you can not do that, if you can say it the way I have it here, and say it with confidence. I've never had anybody get offended or mad at me for saying it this way. Matter of fact, business owners respect the strength of saying it this way. And if you say it real friendly and confident, it really has powerful results. And the line I'm talking about is right here where it says, "Because we'll need to have them there too." So here's the whole line. Now, before we go, Bill, let me ask you this. Do you have any partners? And if so, will this time work for them? Because we will need to have them there as well. Or we're going to need to have them there too. Let me say that one more time. Before we go, let me ask you this, Bill. Do you have any partners? And if so, will this time work for them? Because I'm going to need to have them there too. What they'll say is, a lot of times, "Yeah, I have a partner, but no, you're just going to meet with me. You got to meet with me." Or sometimes they'll say, "Yeah, I have a partner, but he's not going to be there." And so anyway, if they give you any of those answers, you want to basically say, what I like to say is, I'll say something like, every time we meet with just one of the owners, even if you're the main guy that makes the decisions, if we meet with one of the owners, you're going to want to run it past your partner, and he'll come up with some question you didn't think of, and you don't know the answer to it. It just saves time for everybody if we just have everybody there. We'd really like to have you both there. What if we did it for a different time, something like that. So once you agree, you do that. Most of the time, I'd say about 60% of the time, you're able to get them to agree to have all their partners there if you do it that way. If you use this line and you use it, and you're very friendly but very confident and strong in the way you say it. Then once they agree to have their partners there, you say, "Gosh, we'd really like." Oh, I already said that line. Anyway, never mind. So we'll get down here. Once they agree to have their partners there, then you want to say, "Okay, now what are your partner's name?" "Okay, his name's Fred." "Okay, great, Bill. Also, I'm required to make sure that all of the owners, that they all know about and agree to the meeting when I set an appointment. If it saves you time, I don't mind giving your partner a quick call, just to make sure that time will work for them. Or if you would rather, you can give them a quick call while you put me on hold, or I can call you back in a half an hour. What would you rather do?" Sometimes they'll say, "Yeah, I don't mind you give them a call." Other times they'll say, "Oh, they're here right here. Let me ask them." And other times they'll say, "Okay, yeah, call me back." About 30 or 40% of the time they'll say, "No, I'll have him here. You can't. He'll get mad at me if I have you talk to him. And whatever." But you gotta always try. If they won't let you do it, they won't let you do it. But you gotta always make an effort. And again, if you ask that like you're afraid of it, if you ask any of these questions like you're afraid of it, they won't be effective, and you won't have very good success, because they'll pick up on that nonverbal communication that you're afraid of it. And if they know you're afraid of it, even if it's just subconsciously they pick up on that, then they're going to tell you no. But if you're very friendly and confident and you ask it like you fully expect them to do what you're asking them to do, you'll be amazed at how many of them they'll let you call their partners, or they'll call the partners, or they'll put you on hold and talk to their partners. And then you got all of the partners know about the appointment, and you got a lot higher chance of them all being there when you need them to be there. Now, truth be known, when you get really, really, really good at this, you're still only going to get all the owners to actually show up to the appointment 60% of the time. But that's going to make you a lot of money getting them there 60% of the time. If you don't do it, you're going to be getting them there, 10 or 15% of the time. So it's super important that you do this. So if any of that is confusing, rewind that part of the video and rewatch this again, because this is super important. So I appreciate it. We'll call that a wrap. We'll talk to you in the next video.